Namaste, everybody. Namaste. Today happens to be World Environment Day. So, first of all, greetings to all of you on this wonderful World Environment Day. We are going to talk about how we perceive the environment, what environment means to us, what we have done to it, and what we can do to correct the situation. If we have a problem meaning we are not happy with the situation we are in, we try to change the situation in some manner. But to make it better, we need to figure out what is wrong, right? So if we can diagnose the problem, then we can provide a solution. If you go to the doctor has to diagnose what is wrong with you. Only then he can give you the proper medicine. If you happen to have a headache and he gives you a medicine to cure your constipation, that might not work. Or maybe the constipation is causing the headache. So therefore he will give you the medicine for the constipation and your headache will go away. But in any case, jokes apart, if you want to remedy a situation, if you want to fix a problem, then you need to figure out what the problem is. What I'm going to do today is going to make a presentation on environmental stewardship from engineering as well as Vedic perspectives. We all follow the Vedic thought process. We all were born to Indian parents, if not born in India. I was born in India, so were some of you. So we have a heritage, we have a background. We know certain things through our culture, through our tradition, through our parents, through our families. Whatever good we have learned, we should keep. Whatever good we learn from other traditions, we should keep that as well. We don't need to be stingy. Whatever good things we learn from anywhere and everywhere, we should keep those. Let me try to share my screen here. If I can find where my screen is, I'll share the entire screen. Okay, wonderful. How can I share it? Now you might see your own picture in my shared screen. That's not good. Let's do this now. Is this screen clear? Can you see sustainability from engineering and Vedic perspectives?
Yes, sir.
Fantastic. Okay. I'll try to go through this presentation relatively quickly. If you want to stop me, then you will have to physically unmute yourself and say something, because I can see only my screen. I don't see your faces now. I'm only seeing what you are seeing, only the shared screen. All right. The outline is we'll talk about environmental sustainability. We'll talk about Vedic principles, industrial revolution, population growth and consequences, nature's warning, a different approach. We'll talk about the lockdown and consequences. You remember in 2020, we had a big lockdown all over the world. We'll talk about sustainable living, sustainable diet, and then some concluding remarks. So what is sustainability? Sustainability is the ability to be maintained at a certain rate or level. This has got nothing to do with environmental sustainability. We are only talking about sustainability as a word and its meaning. When you add environmental before the sustainability, it is the ability to maintain balance in the planet's natural environment to support the well-being of current and future generations. That's the definition that I think the United Nations has given, or it is based on whatever the United Nations had once prepared. What is environment? Environment is the surroundings or conditions in which a person, which means us, or animals, or plants, they live or operate. I'm going to stop sharing here and I will ask you questions. So let me go back to our. Do you know the five elements? Those who have studied with me in the past, they are not allowed to answer this question. Those who are new, if you know what are the five fundamental elements in nature, we have studied those as a part of our tradition. Or even if you give me the answer from the point of view of science, that will be okay. Do you remember? Or can you guess? Or can you think? I'll give you 15 seconds. Five fundamental elements. Or even if you give me two fundamental elements, I'll be very happy. What is this universe composed of? Any guesses? In the science lecture, you would have science class. You should have learned this. Our environment or our world is composed of two things. One is matter, and the other is energy. Does that make sense? Have you heard that at least? Has anybody heard of Albert Einstein? Anybody not heard of Albert Einstein? That's the question. Everybody has heard of Albert Einstein. He was a scientist at Princeton University. He got, I think, two Nobel Prizes, one in chemistry and one in physics, if I'm not wrong. You can look it up and you can correct me if I'm wrong. Because I also forget. See, I'm not as sharp as you are, right? You are young. So you'll remember, or you should remember better than I can. Again, if you feel like stopping me, you can anytime. And unmute yourself, ask me questions. So the five fundamental elements, according to our tradition, matter has three states. Remember? Mainly. Does anybody
Solid
remember three
liquid
of
gas.
those?
Solid
Solid,
and
liquid, gas. Awesome. Amazing. Solid, liquid, gas. So in our tradition, these three things are called Prithvi, Jala, and Vayu. Prithvi means the earth element, Jala means the water element, liquid, and Vayu means the gaseous element. The energy part of what we talked about is called Agni in our tradition. And all these elements, earth, water, fire, and air, they are all housed in what? In space. So space happens to be the fifth element. So these are the five elements we have. Let's talk about, if I can share the specific window, that would be also good. I'm not able to PowerPoint presentation. Let's see if this will work. I'm trying to share the PowerPoint presentation. Nothing came up, right?
It's dark.
Yeah. I need to share the entire screen. I think that's the easiest. Share the entire screen, and then I can always go back to the PowerPoint presentation. All right. So these are the five fundamental elements. Now let's talk about what we say as assimilative capacity, which is the ability of the environment or a portion of the environment, such as a stream or a lake or air mass or soil layer, to carry waste material without adverse effects on the environment or on the users of its resources. That is called assimilative capacity. If you exceed that capacity, then pollution will happen. So pollution occurs only when the assimilative capacity is exceeded. Okay. Let's talk about some very fundamental environmental principles. Okay. So these fundamental principles are: nature exhibits perfect design. There are no mistakes. Natural processes are very efficient and work according to nature's laws. Healthy ecosystems exhibit biodiversity and balance among species. Organisms appear in ecosystems suitable for them. All the organisms, you and I, we are all naturally programmed for survival and propagation, and we all are supposed to play a beneficial role in the ecosystem. Whether we do it or not, we don't know. No organism consumes or accumulates anything more than necessary. Every organism has a beneficial role in the environment or the ecosystem in which it lives, and biodiversity and balance in the diversity are signs of healthy ecosystem. So let me see if I can uh, stop sharing here. How many of you have seen the Discovery Channel or National Geographic? All of you, I hope. On these channels, we would have seen that in Africa, some deer are running away and a tiger is chasing them. Has everybody seen a video like this? And then eventually, from that herd, one deer will get caught. What is your guess? Who is going to get caught? Those who have heard me say this before are not allowed to answer. Say there are 50 deer maybe, and one will get caught. Not everybody will get caught, right? Because once that get caught, then the tiger will get busy with that one deer, and then the rest of them will run away. So who is likely to get caught?
The slowest one?
Slowest one, absolutely. So the one who is least efficient in protecting itself, that one will get caught. Correct? So in nature, efficiency is rewarded and inefficiency is eliminated. This is because nature wants to evolve. Why do you think we have evolved to where we are right now? Because the best amongst us have survived, and those who were not as efficient could not survive. So, this is the nature of nature. The nature of nature is to evolve. In nature, efficiency will be rewarded, inefficiency will be punished. Even in your school, if you happen to be the smartest kid in the class, you get the best grades and you get maybe some awards or prizes. But if you happen to be the dumbest, then it's possible that the teacher might say you have to repeat some courses. You haven't really understood what you were supposed to understand. So, therefore, you will be eliminated from the entire grade that is going forward and you'll be kept in the same grade with new kids. That's what can happen. This happens even in the real world. In a company, if an employee happens to be efficient, then that employee gets promoted. But the one who is not as efficient, he does not get promoted. Are we clear so far? Everything is so okay so far? Cool. All right. Let's see if we can share the entire screen again and go back to the presentation. I'm going to break my slides in this manner so that you don't get too bored. Okay. All right. What has triggered imbalance in nature? This is a rather thought-provoking graphic. Okay. On the left, you see a beautiful earth, green land, and blue sky. Beautiful blue planet. What have we done to it? We have burned it. Who? We, Homo sapiens, human beings. What has happened is from industrial revolution about 200 years ago, when the steam engine was developed and perfected, industrial production of many things started. Because of that, industries were set up in centralized areas, centralized factories. Around those factories, people started living. In the last about 300 years, we have grown how many times? In about 1800, we were about a billion. Right now, we are already beyond 8 billion. So we have grown 8 times in about 200 years. That's scary. The total world population by 2100, if things keep going the way they are right now, look at that top line, the top blue line. That will go up to where? 14 billion? That will be very scary because we will consume the resources on this planet to such an extent or at such a rate that the planet will be impossible to survive on. With this population rise, also we have seen that carbon dioxide concentration in the air has gone up. Okay. Right now, the concentration of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere is quite high. Because of carbon dioxide increase in the atmosphere, the average temperature of the planet has also gone up. Okay. Deforestation has happened at the same time. So that's why this has contributed to the increase in temperature. So I'll tell you, explain to you how this works. I'm going to hide this. Oh, hold on. I'm going to stop sharing now and ask you a few questions. So, who would not like the earth to be as beautiful as you see in my background? Everybody would love to see the earth in this manner, right? Today is the World Environment Day. We would love our environment to be this clean and clear. But unfortunately, it's not the case at many places, especially where industrial development has taken place, where population density is high, where population concentration is very high. The environment is not as clean, unfortunately. You realize that this planet is only a limited resource? Limited resource. The example I like to give is if you have, say, 10, what do you like? Maybe Rasagullas, let's say Gulab Jamun. Or let's say, what's your favorite fruit? My favorite fruit happens to be mango. So let's see how many people are there. Say about 10 people are here, and there are 10 mangoes. What would be a fair distribution? Each person gets one mango, and we are done with it. Now, if one of us wants more than one mango, then somebody else will have to give up their share, right? Is that fair for the person who has to give up their share? It's not good. If we can learn to share our resources equitably, sometimes it may so happen that somebody who is able to produce more and share more might require more resources. And somebody who is not sharing as much or doesn't need to share as much because of their own situation, they don't need as many resources. Our principle from our tradition is we are all a part of a system. We contribute to the system on the basis of our ability, and we take from the system on the basis of our requirement. So think of your own family. In your family, you have parents and you have a sibling, maybe, or maybe two siblings. What do we do, or how do we distribute what we have in the family? Our parents are the ones who are contributing to the system, to the family system. Children are not in a position to contribute as much yet. Children are only taking from the system. So, what the parents expect is okay, you don't have to contribute anything to the family, but whatever you are taking, you try to be efficient about it. So, take as much as you need. Don't pester me for as much as you want. There is a difference between need and want. If I keep pestering my parents, this is what I want this, I want that, I want that. But do you really need it? You should take only what you need, not what you want. Then everybody will be okay. What has happened on the global scale is we have tried to allocate to ourselves so many resources that those resources have been snatched away from other organisms on the planet. What do you think deforestation can do? When we do deforestation, then the species who were living in that area where we cut the forest, they have disappeared. We've snatched away their livelihood, not livelihood, but living space, right? Not a good thing. Let's see if we can go further on the presentation. Select entire screen, share, back to the presentation. After the deforestation, what has happened is wildlife has declined. That's what you would expect. Since 1970 until 2016, almost 70% of the species have declined. Global water crisis. You see those red areas? These are water stressed areas. I'm sure there has been an increase in those areas, not decrease, since the slide was prepared. Whatever water bodies we do have, we are draining away wastewater or used water. If that wastewater happens to have what we call as nutrients, nitrogen and phosphorus, which are the ingredients of fertilizers, water can become like this. Because when the water body has an excess of nitrogen and phosphorus, algae will bloom like this. So this picture happens to be not in India. This picture happens to be from the US. Even in the US, you can see water turning green like this because of algae. Soil has also degraded. You see those red areas, these are all very degraded soil. Okay? Stable soil only in a few locations. And there are certain areas where there is no vegetation because it's only a desert or it's completely covered with ice. Okay. Nature's warning. Nature has sent us a message through COVID. Okay. Through the coronavirus COVID-19 pandemic, our continued erosion of wild spaces has brought us uncomfortably close to animals and plants that harbor diseases that can jump to humans. This is what the Environment Chief Inger Anderson from the United Nations said. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing here and go back to our talk. Anybody has any questions so far? We have talked about what we have done to the environment, how we have deforested, and then we have now come very close to wild animals. So people are saying that viruses, this coronavirus, there is a theory it jumped from wild animals to humans because human beings came too close to the wild animals. What do we do about it? I don't want to lose you. I don't want to bore you. I want you to ask me questions. If something is not clear to you, you should ask me questions. Okay. Going further, let's select the entire screen, share, and go back to nature's warning. Now go to the next slide. Let's look at it from a different perspective. Consider the earth as an organism on which excessive human activity has led to what? Water, air, land pollution. We've seen that. So this is nature's innovative and unprecedented way to slow down human activity. This is how I see it from the environment's point of view. What did nature do? It forced us to stop non-essential activities. And because of that, air and water quality dramatically improved. Let's see what happened. This is a picture in Delhi within a week or maybe a couple of days after the lockdown. Okay? Air quality is so much better. In Delhi, this is unthinkable. Look at the before and after pictures of India Gate. Effect of lockdown, so much clarity in the air. Yamuna River in Delhi used to look like a drainage channel, whereas it started looking like a river after the lockdown. In Mumbai, you could see peacocks on the streets. Earth is not owned by humans only. Look at China. Look at the picture on the right. The air quality in 2020, January, was quite bad. Whereas in February, after the lockdown, the air quality improved because traffic was stopped, some factories were stopped, so therefore environment became better. This is Venice in Italy. On these canals, you will not see any wildlife, you will not see any dolphins when there are lots of tourists. But because tourism was stopped for a while during the lockdown, these wild animals have reclaimed their natural habitat. As many stay home, Los Angeles' air quality is now better than it's been in decades. So this happened within 10 days of lockdown, effect of lockdown. See, this is the Los Angeles skyline. You can see while the plane lands in the at the Los Angeles airport. I've never seen it this clear. Worldwide, air pollution sharply fell during the lockdown. What have we learned from the lockdown now? When human activities are reduced, environmental quality improves. We should live in harmony with nature. So, this is what I learned. I'm going to stop sharing here and go back to our chat. Everybody with me so far?
Arav, you wanted to have a question, ask a question?
Yeah, so my question, my question is, so you're telling that how COVID reset the and how air pollution has significantly decreased. So, but the land pollution increased, and because like all of the masks and all of the more waste was there, and I guess that there were like means there were more land pollution than air pollution in that time period, I guess.
That is true. So, therefore, what we do or what we should do as environmental scientists, engineers, and environmental stewards, we need to manage the waste we are generating, whether it is polluting the air, polluting the water, or polluting the land. Because we had stopped burning a lot of fuel because of lockdown, nobody was driving, or very few people were driving. Only the essential people were driving. I guess those people who were either going to the hospital or taking people to the hospital, those were driving. So, therefore, air quality improved. Water quality improved because a lot of factories had to be shut down. Only those essential factories or activities that were related to five basic needs. What are the five basic needs, by the way? Does anybody, can anybody say, what can you not live, what can you not live without, even for more than a couple of minutes?
I
Any
feel like
guess?
it's,
Air.
I feel like
Yes.
our electronics. I think in today's day and age, yeah.
Oh, you cannot live without electronics.
I feel like in
You
today's
cannot
day
live
and
without
age.
air.
No, I feel like in
So,
today's day and age we can't.
I'm pretty
okay.
sure all y'all can take a break for like a day. It's not,
No, but sometimes
essential.
we need it.
Hmm.
Sometimes we essentially need electronics to be functioning.
Yeah, but like that's like
No,
a
but then
really
the
easy
first answer I
solution.
got, I think Abhiram or Arav, somebody, both of them said air. So if you don't have air for a couple of minutes, the game is over, right? Air is the first thing. What is the second thing you need?
Food?
Water.
No water, my bad.
Third,
Food?
food. Fourth,
Shelter?
yes. Fifth, clothing would be nice. Unless you live in a tribe near this beach, they don't need any clothes. Then maybe
Weather,
clothing is not needed.
weather appropriate clothing.
Whether appropriate clothing is required, right? So, food, clothing, and shelter, these are fundamental. We also require healthcare, medical assistance. God forbid, hopefully we won't need it, but it should be available. Okay? So these are the four very important fundamental things. Once these are satisfied, then we require electronics, and that too for learning first, entertainment last. So if we have electronics or if we have our devices, if we can utilize those devices for learning, that would be great. If you have time, then you can spend your time in entertainment. If your work itself becomes entertainment, that would be even better, isn't it? That would be a lot of fun. All right, let's go further. Share screen once again. Entire screen. All right, share. We are now at how do we live in harmony with nature? We have to respect our symbiotic relationship with Mother Nature, minimize consumption of natural and personal resources, change our transportation, energy use, and dietary patterns, reduce environmental impact, and adhere to sustainable development principles, which means that we should do only those things that will allow the future generations to live the way we do. We should not deprive them of their right to live as well as we are living. Okay. What is wellness? We all want to be well. Human beings seek health and wellness to be joyful at 8 different levels: emotional, spiritual, intellectual, physical, environmental, financial, occupational, and social. We have to be well in all these 8 aspects. But guess what? Health and joy are within us. That is our essential nature. If we can only discover it, it can unfold when we live in harmony with nature. That has been my experience, and I try that to the best of my ability. So, what have we learned so far? Industrial revolution has led to urbanization. It has caused environmental degradation. And during the 2020 lockdown, we have learned, or we have started asking these questions: are urban clusters away from nature good for us? Should we rethink our development models? Should we work toward living in harmony with Mother Nature? Can we reverse urbanization? Can we start living closer to nature? An eco village is a traditional or intentional community with the goal of becoming more socially, culturally, economically, and ecologically also sustainable. Such a community strives to produce the least possible negative impact on the natural environment through intentional physical design and resident behavior choices. Incidentally, such communities do exist in the world. I'm going to give you some examples of it. Even if we are not able to go and live in an eco village or a forest, we should still be able to live environmentally better in wherever, in whichever situation we find ourselves in. We should set up eco villages in rural areas, allow for reverse urbanization, especially when people don't have to go physically to the office. If you can work from home, this will provide opportunities to live in harmony with nature. It will be regenerative, responsible, sustainable, built on values of harmony and compassion. That's an eco village. In this eco village, the housing will be eco friendly, organic farming and dining so that the food will go directly from the farm to the fork. Water will be recycled and reused. It will run on renewable energy rather than using non renewable resources. You must have heard reuse, reduce, and recycle. 3 R's. So this thing has 7 R's. So first you rethink whether you should do something or not. Okay. Secondly, refuse. If you don't need to do it, don't do it, which we learned during the lockdown. So non-essential activities had to stop. Third is reduce our consumption, overall consumption. Repurpose. So use the same thing for 2, 3 different purposes. Reuse. Okay. Recycle. And then whatever you cannot recycle, you can rot or compost. Then that can go back into the system. So that's why these 7 R's can be considered to live sustainably. In the eco village, we can have green dedicated areas, including forests, where feasible, so that people can enjoy being in nature. We should also make the eco village a model educational institution focused on curiosity of the mind and aspiration of greater good. But we live in 21st century. We cannot go back to the Stone Age. So we also need modern communication facilities. If I invite Dia to my eco village, unless there is internet and her device, she will not even come and visit me, right? Now,
Yes.
the eco village also should be a hub for innovation where people will have ideas they can incubate there. This is a smart eco village concept, which is made up of land regeneration, housing, green power, organic farming, local economy, financial inclusion, and cultural harmony. In this eco village, we can also have community centers. So whatever we are having virtually right now, we can also do it in person for our well-being, health, cultural, and spiritual pursuits. Now we will talk about how this whole thing is connected with our traditional wisdom called the Vedas. Okay, in the Ishavasya Upanishad, which is a part of the Vedas, the Rishi tells us, Ishavasyam idam sarvam yatkincha jagatyan jagat tena tyaktena bhunjitha magrada kasya svidanam. Everything in this universe is pervaded by the divine. That renounced, enjoy. Do not covet anybody's wealth, or do not covet for whose is wealth. Does anything here belong to us? It has always been here, even before we came to this planet. So does this really belong to us? No, this has always been here. So we should enjoy it not by consumption, but by renunciation. So you should take only what you require and don't covet anything that you don't require. The other thing we have learned from the Gita, most of you would have heard this shlok from the Gita. It says, Karmanyevadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana, ma karma phala heturbhu mate sangostva karmani. We have control only over our actions, not over their results. We should never consider ourselves to be the cause of the results of our activities, nor be attached to inaction. I'm going to stop here because this is going to require some understanding. So, how many of you have not heard of this shlok? Tell me. This is the most common shlok every Indian hears at least once or many times. So, anybody who has not heard this shlok, Karmanyeva adhikaraste ma phale shukta janam, ma karma phala heturbhu mate sangosva karmani. We have been mistakenly. I'm going to stop here for a minute and see if there are any questions about what we have studied so far. Any questions? I don't want to test your patience. दीदी ये थोड़ा heavy हो रहा है क्या? Is this a bit
No,
heavy?
they're
Is
getting
all good?
every bit of it, but maybe they are
I'm
confused.
trying to explain this whole thing to you in as simple a language as possible.
So, did you all understand the gravity of the situation right now? If anybody did not raise your hand, all of you?
So what we have learned so far is the earth is beautiful, or it has been beautiful in the last 200 years because of industrial revolution and because of our greed. We have ruined it to a large extent. And we have now come to a point where if we keep living in this manner, then the tipping point is not too far. So we need to learn from our experiences. We need to learn by observing nature. And we have to also learn how to be happy in this whole situation. The only way we can remain happy in the situation is if the resources of the planet are equitably distributed and nobody is greedy. So if there are 10 mangoes and 10 people, everybody should be happy to have one mango. And in fact, the one who is even more caring, more compassionate, will say, I will eat only half a mango. I'll give the rest to somebody else who might need it. That's what your parents do. Your parents will, your mothers especially, they will prepare something for you, whatever dish you like, whether it is curry or paneer, maybe some people might like, rice, biryani, maybe. Mother will feed you first and then she will eat, right? So even if she doesn't get enough to eat, she is happy in your happiness, right? That's called culture. That's what being human means. In animals, what they do, they'll fight with each other. They'll try to get the most for themselves. There was a very interesting experiment. This is a bit aside, but it's very interesting for you to know. There was an experiment where people were uh, tied with their hands like this. So on this hand, if you tie a pole or a piece of wood so that your hand cannot bend. Okay. So there were 10 kids just like you, all of you in the class. You were tied like this. And then you were given some food. How do you feed yourself? Your hand cannot bend. You cannot feed yourself.
You feed each other.
You feed each other. You feed one another. So if we live on this planet in this manner, by being helpful, what the Karmanyevadhikaraste shlok tells us is when we do something, the consequences of that action are inevitable. Inevitable. Nothing you can do about it. So if you happen to be on the third floor of your building and you jump out of the balcony, imagining that you can fly like a bird, Not going to happen. You will fall on the ground. Gravity is applicable to everybody equally. Whether to jump or not is up to you. On that karma, on that action, you have complete control. But the consequence, you have no control over. That is true about everything in this life. Everything. So whether we undertake a particular action or not is up to us. But the consequences we'll have to suffer or enjoy. Of course, we want to undertake those actions with which we can enjoy. But as we grow older, we start understanding that if we do action to get the results only for our own selves, then it is not as enjoyable as when we do the action and we share the results of that action. That is more enjoyable. So we become less self-centered. We become less selfish. We want to become a bit broader in our approach. Let me go back to the presentation. Share the screen again. All right, let's go to the next verse. Yajñashishtashinas santo mucchante sarvakilbishai bhunjate te tvagam papa ye pachantyatma karanat. The spiritually minded who eat food that is first offered in sacrifice are released from all kinds of sin. Others who cook food for their own enjoyment verily eat only sin. Which means if you extend this to your everyday life, if you do your action only to satisfy your own personal self-aggrandization or very narrow self-interest, then you will be committing sin. Whereas before you enjoy the fruits of your action, if you share that with people, or if your action itself is for the benefit of others, then it is better. Okay? Annad bhavanti bhutani parjanyadanna sambhavaha yajñad bhavati parjanyo yajñak karma samudbhavaha. All living beings subsist on food, and food is produced by rains. Rains come from the performance of sacrifice, which is yajna, and sacrifice is produced by the performance of prescribed duties. What this means, I'm going to stop sharing here, is if we want prosperity for all of us, prosperity will come only through efforts. What efforts? Selfless efforts. So when we do our duty, our prescribed duty, so as children, as students, your duty is to study well and get good grades. That is your duty, because you don't have the duty to make sure that there is food on your plate. Your parents are doing that. So you are supposed to study, get good grades. If you can do that, would be great. Everybody is supposed to do their duty. Once again, share. Back to screen sharing. Evam pravartitan chakram nanuvartayati hayah aghayur indriyaramo mogham partha sajivati. Hey Parth, Krishna is telling Arjun, the one who does not follow the cycle set forth in motion lives sinfully, living only for the satisfaction of the senses. Such a person lives in vain. So if we live only for pleasure, then we have not lived the proper human life at all. So how do we live like that? Yuktahara viharasya yukta cheshtasya karmasu yukta swapnavabodhasya yogo bhavati dukkha. Those who are temperate in eating and recreation, balanced in work, and regulated in sleep can mitigate all sorrows by practicing yoga. So Didi is already teaching you yoga. All you have to do in addition to that is eat only when you're hungry and stop when you're full. And don't eat again until you're hungry again. So what can we do? We should live simply at the need level, not at the want level. Don't hoard unnecessarily. Don't collect more things than necessary. You should eat well. You should eat to live, but not live to eat. You should eat as much natural food as possible, fruits, vegetables, nuts, sprouts. Exercise regularly. Help others as much as possible. Should meditate, contemplate, which is what we are doing right now. Have you seen this Maharaja Thali in some restaurants? You must have seen. Do you know that no creatures except human beings will cook their food? Cooking will enhance the flavor of some food, digestibility of some food items, but it will decrease the nutritional and energy value of food. So larger quantities of food, cooked food will be consumed. Now natural food, which is produced through photosynthesis, which is fruits, soap, nuts and seeds, vegetables, sprouts, they contain enzymes. Eating them is very energy efficient. So remember that example, nature promotes efficiency and eliminates inefficiency. We should all be efficient, right? When you eat natural food, your palate will get cleansed and you will experience natural food to be tasty, juicy, and full of life energy. Okay? It gives us a lot of health benefits. We get a healthy gut microbiome, the microbes in our gut become healthy and we become more calm. Inflammation reduces, mucus levels reduce, allergies go away. Body flexibility is amazing. You've seen how Didi teaches you yoga and her body is so flexible. Improved oral hygiene. Your mouth doesn't smell bad. Your skin is clear and glowing. There is no body odor. If you have any diseases, they get reversed. Normalization of body weight, BMI, sugar, cholesterol, blood pressure, heart rate. You don't have to worry about these things at your age at all. But when you grow older, then you have to make sure that these are in the normal range. Sickness is very rare and recovery is very quick because of better immunity. What are the practical advantages? When we eat natural food, our food requirement is lower, lower waste is generated, sleep is reduced, so therefore you are more productive. In my case, I travel internationally, so I don't suffer from jet lag. It saves time because we don't cook as much. It saves fuel because we don't cook as much, and cooking skills are not necessary. Even if you don't know how to cook, you can still survive on natural food. It also helps the environment. Large fruit trees will provide shade, they will provide bird habitat, groundwater conservation. It has very low carbon footprint. Farmers are incentivized because they can get long-term income for relatively low maintenance. So what are the do's and don'ts? First, we should know what we should not do. So don'ts come first and then do's. Okay. Don't make any sudden changes in diet. Don't eat unless hungry. Don't drink unless thirsty. Don't eat more than twice a day. Don't eat past your first burp. In your case, you will feel more hungry than normal. So you can eat more than twice a day. Don't worry about this. Is not really applicable for children below 18. But for your parents, this is applicable. Okay. Don't eat snacks between meals unless you are hungry, of course. And snacks should also be healthy. And you have to avoid all kinds of stimulants, intoxicants, drugs, refined sugar, refined things, and animal derived products to the extent it's possible for you. Okay. What should you do? You should eat natural food, local and seasonal. The food should be simple. You start cooking from scratch, local grains, local beans. Meals during sunlight hours. You should eat only during the day, not at night. Before sunset, if you finish all of your food, that is great. You should have a regular routine of work, exercise, meal times, recreation, rest. You should try to sleep before 10 p.m. Do regular exercise. You are doing every morning anyway, I see that. Surya Namaskar you should learn and do. Or you should have some kind of sport and hobby also. Surya Namaskar you have already seen. So this is the kind of transformation one can go through if one adheres to this kind of lifestyle. So I have to tell you my own experience, right? I cannot be telling you what other people have gone through. This is what my body used to look like at one time. But over time, when we do diet purification, this kind of change can happen. So this is what happened in my case within about 4 months. And I'm still maintaining like that. At that time, I was 56 and my waist was 36 inches. Now it is 31. Weight used to be 80 kilos, 176 pounds. Now it is not 68. In February 2018, it was 68. I is slightly more than that right now, but my flexibility is just as much. Blood pressure is normal, sugar is normal, cholesterol is normal without medicines. And look at these yoga poses I'm able to do even now at age 63. So what have we learned so far? Industrial revolution has brought many modern conveniences, but environmental quality has gradually degraded. Pandemic was a wake-up call. It was serious, but not necessarily all bad. So can we change our perspective? Can we rethink human settlement models? Can we live in harmony with nature by incorporating Vedic principles and be happy? So, if you have any questions, you are most welcome to. I am also on that group, WhatsApp group, so you can ask me questions there as well. It's been exactly 1 hour of my own presentation, but now I'm happy to stay here for a bit longer so that you can ask me questions. If something was not clear to you, you can ask me. Thank you for your attention. It was great talking to all of you.
So anybody has any questions? Do you still understand the need of service and sharing? Do you understand that? Yeah? Okay. And just giving you an example, suppose you don't believe in service and sharing, and you want to go out there and have everything for yourself. So one day you will become very rich. You have all kind of cars, all kind of mansions. You have everything, and many numbers than you need. Okay, because you have so much of money. You have hogged everything for yourself. Now, so you have built a mansion, you're living in a mansion, you have acres of greenery around you, beautiful garden around you. Okay? Now, as soon as you step out of that garden, that mansion, what will you see if you hog everything for yourself? If you take up everything for yourself, what are you going to see outside that garden? Any ideas?
So you're gonna see like a worse environment around you because you have everything for yourself.
Yeah, you will see poverty. People are poor. You would see, slum areas. People are living in swamp, and it's kind of dirty scene that you can all imagine. All you have seen everywhere. Maybe if you have somewhere in the internet or some places, people are dying. People are sick. As soon as you step out of your beautiful space, do you think that would help you feel happy and better about yourself at that point of time? Or would you feel sad? Because happiness spreads like an infection. If you see happy people around you, you are bound to feel happy. You don't know the reason why they are happy and why I'm feeling happy, but you will feel, you will come into the vibration. You will catch up their vibrations, right? Similarly, the sickness and dreadfulness, if around you, you are bound to feel dreadful and sick. So this is the reason we are all connected. So we have to believe in service and sharing for our own good. Okay? That clear? Good. All right, guys, I will stop.
Wonderful.
I will stop
Yes.
recording.
Thank you, everybody.
I stopped recording.